Good afternoon, Patriots. This is the American Vision brought to you by the TLBTV network, and it's broadcast under the guidance of the Liberty Beacon Project. And today I'm really honored and excited to have two guests on the show, so this is really a double honor. And also, one of my guests is the youngest guest I've ever interviewed, and that would be Joshua Katz and his father, David. And so the reason we're have them on is, and I'm coming to you from Cocoa, Florida, which is a little bit up the coast from where Joshua and David are coming from down in South Florida. So Joshua, tell us a little bit about yourself and, you know, where you go to school and what you do and that type of thing. And then we'll get into more of what we really want to get into, your causes.
All right. Well, for starters, my name is Joshua Katz. I go to G-Star School of the Arts. I'm now becoming a junior. I'm 16 years old. I'm an Eagle Scout, and I like to draw and help out veterans and do community service.
Yeah, and that's really how you got started in this. So you one day you were, and this goes back to Memorial Day of 2014, 4 years ago, you were volunteering at the South Florida National Cemetery, handing out water and doing all types of things like that to help the visitors. And you were with your Boy Scout troop 215, and you noticed something on a headstone. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
All right. So for people who do not know, I had seen a penny on a headstone, and I didn't know what it meant, so I took a picture of it, and I had asked my mom about it. She didn't know, so we looked it up when we got home. A penny meant that you knew, not knew the person. A penny meant that you recognized the person. A nickel meant that you were a soldier and you recognized the person. A dime meant that you served with the person, and a quarter meant that you were there when they passed away and you were showing your respects. And out of the whole entire cemetery, or almost all of the cemetery, that was the only coin that I'd seen in general on any headstone, columbarium, or anything like it. So I didn't think it was right, especially on Memorial Day at the end of the service, that there wasn't any like really big recognition for the veterans. So I spent pretty much all summer coming up with a way to make sure that all of the soldiers were recognized. And I eventually came up with a way to make my little challenge coins. I'll put it closer here to the camera.
Yeah, and actually, I have one as well. This coin, and so when you saw that and experienced that, you're really pretty disappointed that there's only one headstone with one penny on it, and you thought, hey, we need to remember all of these vets. So that caused you to found an organization called POW-MIA-OREE, and tell us a little bit about that. And these coins are just fantastic that you came up with. What a great idea.
All right, so for starters, POW-MIA-OREE stands for Prisoner of War, Missing in Action. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Stands for Prisoner of War, Missing in Action, and then the OREE I got from a scouting term, but I made it my own term now. Is Outdoor Remembrance Educational Event.
Okay.
So, what I do is I go out and live read all the names of all the soldiers interred at a national cemetery. Then I'll place one of the challenge coins that I customly made on every headstone, and then I'll give them back to the family members so they know that their loved ones have not been forgotten.
That's really fantastic, and it's so touching. And for a vet like me to think, hey, we try and honor our vets all the time, and to have someone like you, going out and doing that. So anyway, you do have a replica of this coin, I believe, that's biodegradable or something like that that you put on the?
Oh, yeah. Those are not replicas. Those are actually the original versions because when I first brought it up to the director of the South Florida National Cemetery, the cemetery I basically found this on and did this with, the director originally said that it was not a good idea to make them metal coins because if they were metal, then if they fell off and we weren't able to find them, then the lawnmowers during maintenance would hit them and they would fly off and possibly hit someone. So at first we were just going to leave the coins there and they would go pick them up afterwards. But after 2 years, we were already picking them back up and giving them to the front office for them. So they said that it was okay that we started to use metal challenge coins.
Okay, great. Now, you also became an Eagle Scout, I believe, if I remember correctly, at the age of age of 13.
Yeah.
That's pretty young and pretty quick rise up the up to Eagle Scout, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I was happy as well, but I actually was the 2015 Eagle Scout of the year. It was either 2015 or 2016. It was 2016. I was the Eagle Scout of the year for 2016 because of my project up at the South Florida National, at Gulfstream Council because of the Eagle Scout project that I did, which is also up at the South Florida National Cemetery, where I built 2 granite memorial benches, placed them at a memorial wall, and I had gotten rid of the mulch that was at the memorial wall because it wasn't really presentable that way and people didn't even know it existed. And I made a memorial rock garden and I planted 5 pine trees behind each emblem. And I made a easily movable podium for them because they also did not have a podium at the time.
I found a photo of you and I used it on my back screen, and I think all the viewers can see if I bend over a little bit. You have an awful lot of Eagle Scout badges, so obviously you've been very, very active in doing a lot of community work. Because tell us, how does a Scout get all those badges as an Eagle Scout?
A lot of summer camp. Mainly how I got those merit badges was just doing 2 or 3 summer camp weeks at Boy Scout summer camps, and yeah, each summer, and I was able to get a lot. Obviously now though, I don't have that much time during summer anymore, so I can't do those weeks. Okay,
yeah, but you've actually accomplished a lot of awards. You've been very active, and I think the whole idea, the reason I wanted to show this was to show that, you know, it's not like you just did 1 or 2 things. You've been very active for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years in doing scouting.
Okay, it was 4, but yeah, I have.
Okay, so then there's an award you got. You mentioned about the 2016. I guess it's called the NESA Adams Eagle Project of the Year Award, and you touched on that. So that's quite an honor too, to be you know, get the Project of the Year Award.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we did the math on it, it's to become an Eagle Scout is a 4%er. And so with an award, an Eagle Award for Eagle Project of the Year for your council, it's 0.8% of that. So he's in a percentage that's like 0.3%.
Okay, so for our viewers to kind of wrap their heads around that, if I got this correct, about 3 out of 1,000 can get that award. Is that right?
About, no.
3 out of 10,000?
0.3 out of 1,000 can get that award.
Okay, so anyway, it's obvious a very prestigious award and something to really be proud of. There's no question about it. I mean, you really accomplished something when you did that. Now, also, you founded your own Sons of the American Legion Squadron, and tell us a little bit about that and how many others have you got involved in it?
Well, since we just founded the American Legion or the Sons of the American Legion Post, we don't have many people yet. How many do we have? We have 12.
12? I think you need 10 to get it started. I'm an American Legion member, and I know to start a Sons organization or an auxiliary organization, you need to get 10 people. But hey, you started, and that's the important thing, because you know you started out with 1, and now you got 12, and hopefully you'll have some of those 12 will help you. Motivate others to join as well. And I have a feeling, just by looking at you and your merit badges and everything, you're going to have that pretty up there pretty high. But typically, those kind of organizations, if you can get 20 to 50 people involved, you've really built yourself quite a good organization.
Thanks.
So that's a goal you're working on. Okay. There's another thing that we've got here, and I think I got a photo of it. And this is, you were honored as being a VA, that's a Veterans Administration Legacy Keeper. This is all based on your activities and all your projects working with veterans. So, and I think only 2 people have ever had that. So that's 2 out of 320 million people, if we can put that in perspective. So tell us a little bit about what that award is and what you did to get it and so forth.
All right. So the Legacy Keeper Award, I'll give a little description of what it is. It's essentially a recognition award, stating that you have shown outstanding service and recognition for our soldiers and for our country. I am the 2nd person to get it. I believe the last time it was given was 40 years ago.
Well, it's been out for 40 years. I don't know when the other one was.
Yeah. It's been out for 40 years. I'm the 2nd person ever to get it. And what National Cemetery was it given at?
Bay Pines National Cemetery.
It was given to me at the Bay Pines National Cemetery when we did the event up there a couple months ago.
Undersecretary Randy Reeves.
Yes.
Yeah, and what was the Undersecretary of the VA? Is that his title? Like the #2 guy from the Veterans Administration presented you with that award.
Yeah, I believe he's in the picture right next to your head.
That's him right there. Yeah. I've got this on, for anybody that's watching, they know I got my drop screen, and I tried to get this on here, but I'm covering everything up. But anyway, everybody's getting the idea for it. Okay, so you're also going to be highlighted in the in a VA publication. I guess it's the VA Year in Review, and I think they're going to give you a full page recognition in there in the publication.
Yes, I believe it was actually already in there. Yeah, it was already in the paper. It was really good. It was a whole page. It has my whole story about my event and what it means to people.
Mm-hmm. There's some other things you're involved in, X-Scream and MIAP. You want to tell us a little bit about some of those?
All right, so MIAP is the Missing in America project. That's another veteran project that I've been involved with. What they do is they get the urns that hold the ashes of,
Missing in America project was started when the government was going to allow the disposal as see fit from funeral homes and crematoriums. And this was unacceptable because a lot of those unclaimed ashes, cremains, were soldiers. And the Missing in America project took it upon themselves help of many volunteers throughout America and a few different agencies to identify the cremains. And they have mass burials with full honors for all the branches of the military, usually about 20 to 30 at a time. They put to rest. They asked Joshua in Florida to come up with a way to give final respects at their events. And he places a challenge point inside each of the niches right next to the cremains and has a moment of silence just before they seal up those niches.
You know, I'm really excited and pleased that you're doing this, because up here in Brevard County, where we have a lot of vets, what we found out just recently, like within the last year or so, is that the remains of these vets are stored in the funeral homes. They're usually funeral home and crematoriums, and they're in urns, and they're just sitting on a shelf, and no one has claimed them. And so what we're doing up here is very similar to what you're doing there. Is our American Legion unit, and there's you know, all of us guys vets, and other organizations, veterans organizations as well. What we do is we're going now out to all the funeral homes, and we're asking them, do you have the remains of veterans in ashes in urns? And they will do this, and they'll tell you about it. And of course they want somebody to dispose of it, but they need to, you know, have someone to do that and verify the remains and all that. So what happened, like, it was, I think, just a couple of Saturdays ago here in Brevard County, we had a ceremony on a Saturday morning where a lot of veterans showed up, and each one of the ashes, there were 22 urns. A veteran took one of those, and we had a ceremony to you know, dispose of the ashes in the proper way. So if anybody is watching this, this is happening all over the country. It isn't just down in Miami or up here in Cocoa Island, Cocoa Beach, or someplace like that. And if somebody can get involved in that and help that's such a great way to honor our fallen veterans and our veterans who are passed away. So Joshua, I really want to thank you for kind of bringing this to my attention, that you're doing that, and let you all know that we're doing that up here, and hopefully we can use this to inspire more veterans and more people to get involved in projects like this. Okay, and then I also have, I think I showed it before. Well, let's go here. This is, and let me move over the other way because the lighting on this isn't so good. You do a lot of interviews, and this was a TV interview. Tell us a little bit about that.
All right, so this was actually also up at Bay Pines National Cemetery. I don't remember what news crew it was, but right before the event, Channel 8. Channel 8, okay. I couldn't see it. Channel 8 recorded me, and they did a little interview on how I came up with the event and why I do it. It was really early in the morning, so my expression on that picture is kind of blank.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like you're. They needed to get some light on you, so they had you staring right into the sun, and I kind of know what that's all about too. So anyway, and then of course, something that you're really heavily involved in is this Wreaths Across America, and you're actually leading all the scouts and their units who attend this in at the South Florida National Cemetery. So that takes a lot of organizational skills that many of us don't have. So how did you get to the point where, you know, you started doing this, and were you just self-motivated and self-inspired that you felt like this is something that had to be done?
Well, there were a few people that pushed me a lot with this. My dad's one of them, my Eagle Scout mentor, and pretty much my POW-MIA-OREE mentor as well. He helped me out a lot in the beginning. POW-MIA-OREE, and then Rabbi James King. He is one of the veteran leaders down here, and he was motivating me to do a lot of the veteran work during the events, and he had me leading a couple of the areas, so I eventually became really good at leading the scouts when we were doing the events like Reach Across America and Memorial Day.
David, I get the impression that Josh is really a very humble guy, but he's obviously a self-starter too. It sounds like he's given credit to a lot of people, but he's really been involved in this very heavily himself.
Yeah, he gets involved as soon as he hears that something is veteran related. Usually he's the first one there trying to find out how he could either help or even run something for them. And the gentleman that he mentioned, Rabbi King, is the man that has been running the Reach Across America program in South Florida. And he came to Joshua's event and was very impressed when he saw his first attempt at the event. And he wanted him to help out and organize the scouts at Reach Across America. And now I think the largest one that we did at Reach Across America was almost 1,200 scouts. It was absolutely insane.
Wow, that's awesome. 1,200. So, yeah, that's just great that you've been able to do all this. So, what do you have for the future? I mean, this is something that I think, you know, you're not just doing this just for this year or last year and this year. I presume you have plans for the future.
Yeah. My biggest future goal with POW-MIA-OREE is to make it spread out to national instead of just Florida, because we have hit either we've hit every single cemetery or we're missing like one or two, and we have a couple that are going out in different areas across the nation. And we also we're supposed to do, where was it?
We're hoping to do Arlington National Cemetery sometime in the next couple of years. This year, we will complete the whole state of Florida, and we're venturing into Georgia, which will make us a national movement. We grow as quickly as we can get funds to mint coins. Everything. We went and did those that we got rid of.
No, the one that we weren't in that we were going to travel to.
Okay.
We were slated to go out to Puerto Rico last year before the storm hit. And then the storm hit, and the travel commission still wanted us to come out and do it, but we felt that that wouldn't be right. The rebuilding of Puerto Rico is very important, and I think every penny that they have needs to go towards rebuilding. And if we can raise the funds on this side to travel over there and do their event, then we'll do that, but we don't want to use their funds.
Yeah, and they're slowly but surely recovering, and I guess all of our thoughts and prayers go out to the people of Puerto Rico who were hit by. We got hit by Hurricane Irma last year, but I think it was it Maria that did the most damage to them when it came through, or was it Irma? I don't remember which. I just remember it was devastating.
I believe it was Irma that did the damage to Puerto Rico, and then Maria just added to the that they have there.
Yeah, then Marie came in and really damaged everything. I mean, nothing there was in place enough, or built up and strong enough that so when Marie came through, it really caused damage. So anyway,
when we get hit,
that's awesome that you're thinking about the people in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, because when we get hit in Florida, we take for granted that, you know what, our power will be back up, but we have like 15, 20 states of electricians and certified people that come trucking into Florida to help out.
Mm-hmm.
In Puerto Rico, there's no trucking in. The shipping ports were damaged, everything was damaged. The airports were damaged, they couldn't get help. There's some areas still without power.
Yeah, and that's devastating. I know Up here in Cocoa, we were without power and water for like about 4 days, and it was getting to the point where, you know, it was sort of taxing on us because, you know, we weren't prepared to handle that. We all had bottled water, we had all the things, you know, we're supposed to have, but after a while, pretty soon it gets to the point where, you know, you just it affects your lifestyle. So those people, you know, at least, you know, we had our roads and everything else when we finally got the power back. Some of them just completely cut off. So I just think that that's really honorable that you all are thinking about that, and you're thinking about the entire state of Florida and Arlington Cemetery in Virginia. So gosh, that's an awful lot to be working on.
Being involved with the VA as heavily as we are, the area director for our area for the VA, Stephen Frank, is, and that's for the National Cemeteries. We didn't realize that the NCA and the VA has so much involvement in Puerto Rico. And most of the information that we have is because we're learning firsthand from the people that they're taking from Florida, the officials, and bringing them over there to work over there. And a lot of those people they spend more time in Puerto Rico than they spend here, and they never lived in Puerto Rico ever in their life.
Yeah. Okay. There's I guess there's so many things we want that we can talk about and cover, and you're kind of telling us a little bit about the future, and is there anything else, Josh, that you would like to tell us about, and how can we get more people involved? How can they contact you, email you, or call you, or?
Yes, we have a webpage. What's webpage?
POW-MIA-OREE.com, and you can also look up POW-MIA-OREE on Facebook. We're always looking for supporters, readers at our events. We will take people at the event day that want to be readers, and we'll separate some pages for them to read some names.
Yeah.
We invite people to come place coins. It doesn't cost anything. Of course, we're always looking for sponsors and for donations, but we want to make it a community event. It's not like when you go to a memorial service and they're looking for people to pay money to read names. No, we don't want that. We want people to feel like a sense of involvement and a sense of belonging to become a part of this. It's changed into not just what Joshua created, into so much more that we can involve community involvement and involve more youths. There's no telling where we're going to go with this. It's just we want to keep it growing and keep every penny that we get in the organization for its growth.
Well, it's certain that the two of you have the American spirit and what you're doing. And all the information you're giving us here is going to be in the article that this video is embedded in, so people will be able to refer to that and have that website to go to. And I guess what I want to do is I want to see if people can get involved from other states and join you. Let's say somebody's in someplace like in North Carolina or Arkansas or Michigan. How do they get something like this started? Can you help them?
Joshua has a travel team of scouts and other youth groups that joined in, and those members travel to different states and different areas and teach those local volunteers how to do the events. I'll let him tell you more about what happens when they travel to a location, how they teach people and they keep the event going. I just wanted to make sure that his vision isn't forgotten. Stand up for a second. Joshua's whole tagline is "Come forward."
No soldier should ever be forgotten. Listen, I'm going to endorse this 100%. No soldier should ever be forgotten. And actually, when you're saying soldier, you're meaning anybody from armed forces, So Navy, Air Force, or Marines like myself, we should never be forgotten, and that's just the most admirable thing I think you can do. So
yeah, we don't want to single anybody out. That means every single veteran. No veteran should ever be forgotten. Soldier is just our way of going old school, because in the beginning they were all called soldiers.
yeah,
And picked up a sword or a stick was a soldier, and that's where his term came from.
yeah. And even us Marines, you know, sometimes we'll get a little cranky if you call us soldiers, but we know that's just a term that is used to describe all of us and put us all together, because you couldn't put on there all soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and Coast Guard on the shirt.
Yeah, and we don't have a shirt anymore.
So anyway, no, we understand that. That's no problem. And if there's any old cranky Marines out there, or some of those nasty sailors, just say, hey, you know, this is an all-inclusive thing, you know.
We'd be glad to make a custom something for them that says no sailor, no soldier,
Yeah.
no Marine, no.
No, I don't know that that's necessary. I think those of us who have the true American spirit like you do, we've got it all figured out. So that's great. So people, do you have any kind of an account set up that if somebody that's watching this wants to donate, you know, $10 or $20 or $100 or something like that?
They could contact us through the website. It's a secure email that's on the website, or they could even contact us on Facebook. We check both of them a lot. The website we're trying to rebuild right now so that we can accept donations on the website. We are a fully recognized 501c3. When we saw the interest and what it does for each community, we just felt that we need to keep building this. The challenge is to have every single national cemetery and veteran cemetery have every veteran's name read every single year, and then no one is forgotten ever again.
Yes, and I think that's the one of the main points that we want to get across to everyone, is that Joshua and his Eagle Scout compatriots or his volunteers or whoever it is, you're actually going to the cemeteries and you're reading aloud the names of every one of those fallen heroes that are interred or buried in that cemetery, and that's just such a wonderful tribute to them, and I just really thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you. We'd actually like to thank you for your service.
Okay, so I think we covered most of the things that Joshua's doing, and how to contact Josh to get this started in other areas, because I'm sure you don't want to just keep this to yourselves. You want this to spread out all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. It would be
We
great.
want there to be a Joshua, a Peter, a Michael, a Debbie, a Michelle in every state doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I want to thank all of our viewers for watching, and I hope you can get involved in this. And I'll just turn it over to David, you and Josh. What are some last things that maybe I forgot to ask, or some things that we haven't talked about before that you'd like to pass on to our audience?
Go ahead.
No, I said I'm good. What do you have?
Joshua said he's good. He said you pretty much covered everything that he had hoped that you would cover. And I think you did a great job. We're just thrilled and honored that you would want to take the time to record and take our story.
Okay.
Something that keeps going.
And speaking of taking the time, I've been trying to find out more about what Josh is doing, and it's so much it would take me 2 hours to kind of read all the things. But for example, in 2017, last year, calendar year, I think you did more than 1,400 hours of community service.
Yes.
You know, if we could find people who just do 14 hours of community service, our country would be a lot better off. And we're talking 14, what was it, 1,450 or something like that?
Yeah, he was just shy of 1,500 hours. But I mean, I think the high school, the high school requirement is to do between like 15 and 20 community service hours the whole time in high school.
Yeah, so you know that's really admirable that that you're doing that, and also just to let everybody know before we actually started recording and got on air, Joshua came hurrying home as fast as he could from working on community projects in the area, and you know, and I said, hey, don't worry, you know, we got plenty of time to do this. And so Josh could actually take a shower and put on his shirt, you know, which is the which has the logo on it and everything that we same as it's on the coin and everything. So I want to tell you, all of us really appreciate the fact that you're out there doing all these things to help help your community, and I know that there's other teens in our area that are doing the same thing. I don't know if anybody's putting in as much as you are, but I certainly hope they're approaching that.
Yeah, we hope so too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thanks a lot for joining us on the American Vision, and I really appreciate you being guests. You're great guests, and you're doing a great job for our country and for our vets. Okay, boys and girls, I just had a little off the recording chat with Josh and his dad, David, and what they're doing is just outstanding. It's just so awesome that they're taking this on and helping vets and recognizing vets. So no vet, no soldier, no foreign hero, fallen hero will ever be forgotten. Such an admirable thing. So I hope that you can spread the word on this. Make sure you send this video out to everybody you know, and try and get local people involved. Get a hold of Josh and David and ask them how to do it and get helps for them and everything else. And if you do, I know that you're really going to be pleased, because it's so much, you feel so good about going out to these various events. I know every time I go to an event with one of my organizations, Marine Corps League, American Legion, Military Officers Association, whatever it is, you just feel so great when you're out with people and you're doing something for your country and you have the American spirit. And that's what the American Vision is all about, is having the American spirit like Josh and David do. So see you all later, boys and girls. See you next time. God bless America.